Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to day number 5 of Starladder China. I'm your host, LD of Beyond the Summit. I'm joined here today by Blaze, and well, we're going to start day 5 as we wind down the group stage for this region over the next few days with Tongfu versus LAI Gaming. Tongfu all but eliminated from the playoff for contention at this point. They're 0-4, but LAI Gaming are in the thick of it. They're 2-2. They've got a decent shot here to move on if they can just put a few wins together. And then, well, in the playoffs, anything can happen. Top 2 teams do have a berth at Kiev, and man, it would be exciting to not see one of the big names. At least for me, I would love to see an underdog upset and somehow make the way in. But yeah, we'll see if that happens. Still a lot of work for them to get done. And well, with that being said, of course, I am joined here as mentioned by Blaze. So Blaze, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Trying to wake up here on the East Coast. It's very, I would say bright and early, but the sun's not even up. But yeah, looking forward to this game. LAI Gaming and Tongfu, they definitely don't disappoint as far as bringing us some interesting matches. And yeah, LAI Gaming, honestly, in the games they've won, they looked really solid. They impressed substantially. They didn't just gimmick their wins. They definitely earned them. And I think that there's a lot of value in the playstyle of these teams and their individual skill sets. So yeah, I don't think that there's any reason to count out LAI Gaming this early on, and I want to see a lot more of them. So Skywrath Brewmaster are going to be their opener. A lot of great team fight potential, some great magic damage, but it's going to be hard to bring down a hero like Viper if he does build up quickly, and he's going to try to build up momentum in the early stages. We saw what he could do on that hero. Obviously, it was played by, I can't remember if it was U9 that played it last time, but either way, yeah, he was doing some pretty good work on that until kind of the mid-game broke down, and there was just a little bit too much pressure coming in from other heroes.
Yeah,
we saw Vici Gaming's Naga Siren.
That was the game where Red had a really nice clockwork performance as well in the offlane, but LPC's Doom was just, I mean, for lack of a better word, atrocious. Probably the worst Doom performance I've ever seen. And hey, it happens to the best of players. They have awful games, but that was not a good game for him. And well, as the drafter here, I am curious to. Well, it's actually been banned against them, so they're not going to go for the Doom. I was thinking, even if it was out there, would you really want to go for it after the way yesterday went? But I'm guessing the team probably sat down together and went over that replay and had a few words for him. So, well, now Visage picked up by LAI Gaming. This sets up for the potential for the Drow pick, although we've only really seen Vici Gaming run it out of the Chinese scene that I can recall. And I'm not sure if anyone else has. Do you know, have any of the other Chinese teams run the Drow Visage, or is it just Vici?
There was one team that was... Oh, well, yeah, there was one team that was emulating it. IG ran it, didn't they? Yeah, the IG ran it at one point, so that was kind of an emulation thing, more so. I think they faced it enough times that they gave it a lot of respect. But I think it's primarily a Vici Gaming thing that other teams in the region are kind of just building off of a little bit. They see the strength of it, obviously, and if they can take an easy win off of it, they'll take the opportunity. But yeah, this is still in the pool in full. Interesting to go for the Ember Spirit here, because he is actually a hero that is very limited in terms of in a physical armor sense, and can just be absolutely destroyed by the Gust ability by the Drow as well. So I'm not so sure about that response pick if they are worried about the Drow Visage. But they do have the early game in general, so maybe it's going to be okay, but there it is. LAI Gaming pick it up, and I honestly think Ember Spirit is probably one of the worst heroes to have against it.
Yeah, that's going to be frustrating. And it is the Drow Visage for LAI Gaming. So they get a nice silence deal with Ember. So coupling that with the Skywrath Mage, that is actually a bit of a concern. Ember just not a... Generally when you see heroes like that, like Ember, Storm, Weaver... Storm and Weaver can go for a BKB, but Ember really can't get away with it unless he's very far ahead, because he just doesn't do any damage at that point. And unfortunately, if he doesn't go for something like a BKB, maybe a Linked Sphere, then, or I mean Manta, we never see that on Ember. He's going to have to just play this one perfectly with his positioning, else he will be food for any silence plus right clicks.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting that Sleight of Fist is amazing against familiars once he builds up some damage, but anytime you're in range for that against the familiars and the heroes are right nearby, you're probably going to get silenced and you're going to get screwed. So yeah, he's going to need some good supportive play from his Shadow Shaman and Enchantress. They should buy 4 staffs really early on, try to help him disengage as needed, but still go in for those long-range Sleight of Fist harassments, and yeah, they are going to have to deal with turtling in the early game. In this case, they obviously need to still pick up an offlaner, but the Tide has been banned out, as well as the Bat Rider and Centaur. So they go with the Elder Titan here, a great hero to counter push with. And in terms of physical damage output, they're going to have a lot. I
Yeah.
honestly think
I always
that
liked this duo, the Elder Titan Ember. It's something that IG pioneered in the Chinese scene, and basically you get the Sleight of Fist chains, and then Elder Titan drops a spirit, stomps while the two heroes are held in place, and they just get wrecked by any sort of follow up damage with of course, with the natural order. So it's a really cool combo, actually.
Yeah, I honestly think that in this case, Ember Spirit should build a Desolator over a Battle Fury. I don't think there's. I mean, there's obviously later on going to be brew splits, and the familiars can be grouped up together in general. But the Elder Titan's natural order, the way that it works, is bringing people down to zero armor, and I think that's going to be so much more advantageous for them to get the physical damage output, along with maybe enchantress creatures and stuff like that. But that's just more focused on an early game oriented build. If he wants to play the mid to late game farming game, best of luck to him. But LAI are not going to try to give him that space. They're going to try to put the pressure on early. They do have the supports to do it with. And looking for an offlaner, preferably ranged, that can hold his own, and that'll enable them to go for the all-out aggression, a lot of push. Maybe the Nature's Prophet, but it's going to be the Wind Ranger.
Wind Ranger. Well, it is another ranged hero. Nature's Prophet would have fit into that mold as well, and I think that is definitely what you want when you're running the Drow Visage, is as many ranged heroes as possible. They've got the one melee in the brew, but they did need some team fight presence, and he'll be a nice hero to have against like the Shadow Shaman Enchantress. If you could just jump in, clap them, that's almost half their health gone instantly. So with that said, draft's now complete, Blaze. Who do you like better?
Oh, I gotta go with the Drow Visage lineup, man. It's just like, it might seem gimmicky, but it's just so damn powerful, especially if you get some really good micro on the Visage player. Super is going to be able to control them effectively, because those things are just flying death balls. I mean, they are absolutely insane, and anybody who doesn't know it just hasn't done the math on it. Like, it is actually ridiculous what you can accomplish with this combo. But Tongfu, I'm not saying that they don't have the chance to take it down, the chance to respond to it, but just out the gate, I gotta favor it.
And with that, guys, we're underway for Marathon Day 3. I'm pretty sure I'm losing my hair. On the dire side, we've got Tongfu. They're 0-4 in Starladder China, still searching for their first win. U9 will be playing your Ember Spirit. Xiaolu will be handling the Viper. LPC, the much maligned Doom from yesterday that I'm still picking on today, will be on the Enchantress. Red, he's actually playing a support role this game. He was their offlane Clockwork in that particular match, and then to the offlane will go Kabu. He was playing support yesterday, now he's in a core role. Will be interesting to see how he does here. He did used to play core for, oh god, what was the team? Was it eHome? I can't remember. He used to play offlane Tidehunter a lot before TI2 for his team. Maybe it wasn't eHome. It was one of the Chinese teams. But either way, he was someone that Mally always picked on, and Gods kind of piled on him. But I always thought Kabu was a little bit overly hated upon. Anyway, XTT will be your Brewmaster for LAI Gaming. He heads to the offlane. XC, your solo mid Wind Ranger. 5400, your support Scarth Mage in that top lane. XDD will be on the Drow Ranger, and that does leave Super as the Visage. And so we're going to see some dual lanes coming out here from LAI Gaming. And as mentioned earlier in the broadcast, for those just joining us now, it's a 2-2 record for LAI Gaming. So a couple more wins, and they may have a legitimate shot at playoffs. And I'd love to see them or LV Gaming make some waves here. I think those are the two teams that aren't like the big four that have a legitimate shot to be one of the top two when the dust settles.
Yeah, the one thing about the Chinese scene in general is that there's just such a discrepancy between the tier 1 teams and the tier 2 teams. Like, maybe IG is now kind of breaking ground as a 1.5, but in general, like, it's almost always seems like there's just a severe favoritism towards the tier 1s, and I would love to see some love towards the B teams coming in and kind of...
You know, there's also Hyper Glory Team, who's currently 4-0, so they're probably the favorites in terms of standings to advance to Kiev, but I still think LV and LAI Gaming are pretty strong as well. Sorry, just wanted to mention that real quick.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm really glad to see the performance working out pretty well for this team in particular, and I just think in general that the scene can grow and develop more as we see these newer teams, these teams with less like big name players still triumphing, still doing a lot of work, and yeah, I think it's really cool to see them in particular accomplishing a lot. But yeah, as far as this lineup goes, as far as the draft goes, it's really going to come down to movement once Drow hits level 6. Right now she's going to go for just a 101, not showing much for her build, doing a lot of damage to Kabu, but without level 2, without the Soul Scepter, there's no kill potential there. Even still, yeah, it's going to come down to controlling U9 so that he doesn't get built up too quickly, and then for them just pushing in pretty hardcore once they do get the precision plus marksmanship aura up quite efficiently. For now,
Yeah.
Unai is, wow, they're really putting a lot to pinning him down. I love 5400 movement here because he's not only pinning down the Ember Spirit, but he's wasting the Enchantress's time. Like, you're not farming as efficiently with one of your creeps just dawdling about, and yeah, that is actually going to be a good start for XC here in the mid lane.
Yeah, so with that, I do want to point out a few things. There was a failed D ward here top, and so that means that there's plenty of vision also blocking off this big camp of reds, and he will be looking for the experience. Meanwhile, mid lane, there's a slow in 5400. If they get it with the chains, this will be first blood.
Ooh.
Don't even need the stomp. Easy kill. Trying to finish off the centaur creep was not denied, so at least a bit of a trade in gold there, but still very favorable for Tongfu. And hey man, this is a recovery for LPC after that Doom performance yesterday. Like, it's nice to see him having a good start, and I hope he continues to impress. Good movement from him.
Definitely.
And I would kind of look at it the other way, from what, just piggybacking on your point about the Scarf Mage is occupying the Enchantress, but the Scarf Mage is also not doing nearly as much to, like, zone out U9 as what you would normally expect. He's still got plenty of regen here, and he's getting his levels, so all things considered, I think it's still going reasonably well for Tongfu in this mid lane.
Yeah. But the Ember Spirit's going to find 6, and I mean, that's going to be the defining point in his level progression. And like beyond that, you just want to make sure that he doesn't have too much going for him in terms of farm. The difference between just a broadsword Ember Spirit when you start pushing in compared to a full Battle Fury Ember Spirit when you start pushing in is absolutely immense. And I do think there's a lot of value in what the Skyward Mage was putting out in either case. But now 5400 is up top. Maybe didn't have the easiest time zoning in the mid lane. Now he is just putting some damage into Jalo. We do see that he does have 1 point in corrosive, so we'll do some return damage, but in general, 5400 will have a pretty good time pushing him back and now scouting out what Red's doing.
Yeah, Red only level 2 here as 5400 moves in, also not doing particularly well in the level department, and that could become an issue for LAI Gaming. They'll need the Skywrath Mage to get his levels if they want to shut down the Ember. Just having level 3 on him later on at like the 7-8 minute mark is really not going to cut it, so they'll be looking for some potential kills here while this Enchantress is on the smoke. She's got a clapper up, but it's about to despawn.
Nah, it's gonna die.
This is going to be a tough gank with only a Wildkin. Kind of an odd timing for LPC. And, well, he could summon a Tornado, man, but that's really about it. Creeps are going to work with that, and then he cancels it, so I think I jinxed him. Kind of a fail gank there.
Yeah, surprise tornado. It's not very effective. But all the same, yeah, I like his mentality. His movements there are okay. They're definitely smoother than we saw last time around. But bottom lane is just not going well for Tongfu right now. Eldertine's a hero that generally all he has to do is just sit on a tower and turtle, but he's out of mana now. He has no way to just spam with the Astral Spirit, spam with the waves, and they're going to be starting to really...
Top lane. They kill off Red here, and now Shalu will look for the trade. If he can get 1 or 2 more auto attacks on XTT, he'll get this kill. He tries to work his way into the trees. He's got 2 stick charges, but no TP scroll. And now Viper's trapped himself in. Panda no clap, but he could just man-fight this. And with the evasion, it looks like Shalu won't even get the first kill on the Brew. He barely does before dying, but, well, you want Skywrath Mage levels, LD? You're going to get him now. 5400, suddenly level 4. Oh my goodness, what a mess.
Yeah, suddenly. But, yeah. Arcane Bolt level 2 is actually going to be... I would actually prefer if he goes for kind of like a 2-1-2 build. The reduction of the cooldown, I think, is really big on Arcane Bolt, going from 5 seconds to 4. If you have a full mana pool, you can just put that much more DPS out. But the Ancient Seal is still really important for their lineup here to maybe make it easier for them to bring down the Enchantress, who is most susceptible to magical damage, and to make sure they put emphasis on the Ember Spirit's death. That's going to be huge. But it's a DD Ember Spirit with Remnants, and they have the big flank coming in.
And
Dark Troll Summoner has the net, has the Hellbear Clap, and this should be an easy kill, even with the win run.
Well, assuming he gets the chains right, which he does. Now throwing a Remnant over the top to prevent this XE retreat, but actually, well, he'll have to throw another one, zipping all over the place. 1 auto tech, no, not enough. Finally brings him down as 5400 joins the lane. They could really turn on this if they had any kind of lockdown, but now Supers arrive, so they'll just back off in the end. Forcing out a double rotation and getting the kill and getting out safely. Very nice efficiency there for Tongfu. But I am still a bit concerned for them because they haven't shut down XTT in this off lane. Your Brew isn't farming that well, but will have his split, and the core hero for this squad, of course, is XTT's Drow Ranger, and it's total free farm bottom lane. He's already got his treads up, the first Wraithband, and it looks like he'll be going back for probably a Midas here. I mean, we've seen the Eternal Envy Maelstrom, but I'm not expecting that from XTD, and generally it's not his first big item. He goes for like Mask of Madness and Blink first when he does that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the other item, of course, would be armlet, but that's even more far-fetched, I think. I've seen it before, but that doesn't mean it belongs here in this pro game. So, yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how that progresses. But no matter the case, just his basic Wraithband power treads is going to be really nice. Maybe should build that into an Aquila for a little bit of extra push since they don't have the Bassi Aura just yet.
Oh,
But
XTT. He's one creep from level 6. They're trying to bring him down before he gets it. Dropping him low with the poison attacks. They'll get the kill. He actually leveled up right as he died, but didn't have a chance to split. Now Shello on the way out. But getting nuked down. One more power shot would end him. One more arcane bolt would do it too. And yeah, he's done for. Can they get the turn? They're going back in for 5,400, but Red got silenced. Couldn't throw out an Ether Shock during this time. And now LPC gets shackled. He may go down as well. Complete turn of events here in the top lane. That last auto attack from the Wind Rage gets the kill. And now Stick Charges. Can even chase down Red. No, doesn't have another shackle and power. Only the one. Would have loved to see U9 join that fight top lane, but even with the TP scroll, he just sat farming mid.
yeah, that's an interesting decision. He just kind of found that to be a little bit more valuable at the time because of how far pushed out they were. It wasn't like they were fighting under their own tower. It was all the way on the enemy side. But yeah, I think the way that extended in hindsight, that it lasted long enough, he definitely could have made a huge contribution, maybe gotten a double for himself. Another case, we're going to see a big wave come down bottom. The Astral Spirit will push that back out. Yeah, they don't really have any full push until they start grouping up as a team. Right now it's 3 points in Frost Arrows. That marksmanship is up. And yeah, LAI Gaming, I mean, they're taking these early kills, which is important. You usually look at a hero like Enchantress and say, okay, well, she's kind of untouchable. She's got the Urn of Shadows strength, and now she's got this 30 attack slow. But Wind Ranger's a 1.5 BAT hero. She's going to be able to get those right clicks in one way or another, at least for the moment.
This. They've got a smoke from the base for LAI Gaming straight down the mid lane. Looking for U9, but if they don't hit a shackle, this kill's probably not happening. It's tough for the Scarlet Mage to just walk up and get that silence off. They'll try for it, though, but you can see the range of H and Seal is really not that exceptional. And he's not going to find U9 right now, who's very defensively tucked away behind the tree line. Well, maybe he'll get him from behind. Pokes his head out a little bit this way. Oh, that's like the worst possible way you could poke your head out, my friend. That's 5,400. Still trying to find that opening wall. Meanwhile, Tongfu are pushing the top lane. And bottom lane, Kapu gets caught out as well. Gusted, but no actual way to cancel TPs. It's a little deceptive for newer players, I guess, but even a Gust pushes you back, doesn't actually interrupt anything. And U9 will now catch XTT and 5,400. Just kidding. Who's caught whom? Mystic flares up. He'll go down instantly to that.
Yeah, threw like a panic remnant up to the high ground just to try to get out of the situation, but it just wasn't quick enough. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to remnant before dying as Ember, because if you want to buy back and fight, then you'll be able to rejoin it with the buyback. But yeah, in that case, there was really no opportunity to return to the fray.
Yeah, I guess you could remnant to this, then throw a remnant down the cliff, and then remnant again. But otherwise,
yeah, that's not a good place to throw it. The habit of throwing a remnant, I like.
Got it. Yeah.
the placement leaves something to be desired. That's for sure.
Yeah, Enchantress going to go for the treads and build up, just getting a little bit more raw HP to deal with, and it's important because there's going to be a lot of nukes flying out. The blink is still going to be a little longer on XTT, but it will be forthcoming in the near future. And of course, we do have to consider the fact that the Visage Familiars will not be afflicted by the Untouchable. They're going to be dealing a lot of physical damage, and they just came out for Super. So a brief representation of the math on this, since I feel it's obligatory for most Drow Visage games. These guys attack 2.5 times a second. They have 0.4 base attack time. XDD adding precision aura of 22 damage right now. That means that essentially he's adding 66, or actually closer to 55 damage per second to each familiar. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, of course this is, well, for the time being, they have activated it. But yeah, this is only when the Drow Ranger activates precision aura. So familiar's now stomping down in the tree line and...
Also works when they're within 900 range as well.
Yeah, that's true. But often we see the familiars just off on their own. And right down to the pit. Unfortunate for him. LAI Gaming were on the smoke, and we'll quickly find him out. And this will pretty much secure your Brewmaster's Blink Dagger. Has the gold for it now. Familiar's still looking for the backstab of this tower. And yeah, Drow Ranger off with her team, but picks up the Midas now. And let's see if they look to pursue Kabu out. Familiar's still hitting hard and fast, but he will retreat out successfully. And in the end, do they look to push this with the Familiars? That's the big question now.
Yeah, I think they really need to, because you don't want to be at a tower disadvantage in this kind of a lineup. The Astral Spirit makes it quite difficult. As you can see, they take quite a bit of damage, but in the end, they do have to make this their top priority.
Yeah, we'll keep on sieging the tower. Tongfu, with Kabu and Red here to defend, will hold the line for now, and they do have a teleport scroll up on U9. Phase Boot's complete with a DD rune in tow, so if they overextend here, and he teleports in at the right time, he could quickly turn this one against LAI Gaming. These heroes are very squishy right now. 800 on the Drow, 800 on the Skywrath Mage, Super, and the Panda even not yet a 4-digit HP, so they'll have to be careful going up against a level 3 natural order not to overextend themselves, but for now it's a slow and steady progress, and they'll rotate the Drow into the woods, and we'll probably see a lot of this game with XDD just off in the woods, split pushing on his own if his team's creating space, and the familiars just flying wherever the hell they feel like it. And for now, Tongfu, roam as a pack of 3. Moving towards the river, they might find an opening here on 5400 and XTT. Nah, it doesn't look like it. That's the one issue for Tongfu is their one hero who can really start fights is Ember, and he is very vulnerable to that silence.
So he's building really well, I think. He's going for not only progressing in his items, but his skill build here is 224. He's going to be building up Sleight of Fist as much as possible, and it's going to be very good when they're forced under tower and they're just trying to defend and hold the line, especially when it comes down to the high ground. So they're going to try to limit LAI's momentum in this early game, limit their easy tower kills. But all the same, we mentioned this earlier, XDD went for the Hand of Midas, and it is worth noting that I think Drow's a very experienced dependent hero. Hitting level 16, hitting level 11 even, is really impactful towards her progression, and she can just Midas those big creeps like that Satyr. She's going to be building up that gain rapidly.
Yeah, the level 2 ultimate especially is coming soon for XTD. We're only 13 minutes in, he's already hit level 10, and at this rate, he'll probably have his level 11 within like the next 3 minutes or so, and by that point, I think we'll see LAI Gaming try to force something. Building towards the mechanism on XC. Is it coming out now? No, just the bottle. He's picked up the buckler towards it, though, and they now get the super point booster up. And outside of the Drow, this will end up being the carry for LAI Gaming, is the Visage. And Ag's still a ways off, but he is working on it. And they now look to push in mid lane. They've dropped the wards for Red at least, but the clap comes out from the Brew, followed up by a split. A shackle shot holding Red in position. He throws out a lonely nuke, but it really doesn't matter. And the Brew, in the end, will secure the first kill on the Shaman. The wards quickly being cleaned up as the Brew, trying to chase to the north, will actually look to retreat, but he gets caught by a Sleight of Fist Searing Shades. Can't blink out in time now. He'll go for the TP instead, and this team has only 2 heroes that can cancel TPs. Well, 3 with the Elder Titan, but no points in Echo Stomp yet. Great shackle from XC, but shall lose a tanky one. If they want to go on him, they're going to need some familiar stuns, and they don't have them right now. Tongfu continuing to press forward, but now the rest of the LAI Gaming will return to the mid lane. Brewmaster, he's TP'd home, he's walking back in, he'll have a clap ready to go. He could soak up some damage here, and they've hardly even damaged the tower yet. Another concussive shot flying out. Tongfu, with the mech online, still at full HP, but not having the wards anymore makes this tough to push in, and the spam from LAI Gaming is immense. Just that power shot, and the follow-up right-clicks annihilate the creep wave. There's still no real momentum as U9 decides enough's enough. I need to go for a backstab here, make something happen for my team, and he finds it. It's 5400, 2 heroes, Sleight of Fist, Searing Shades combination, but now he gets silenced. They got it off just in time, and that's all it takes to bring him down.
And that's not worth it at all. Like, it's a smart movement, but all the same, we've seen how squishy he can be, how quick he can go down, silences shackles, what have you, and yeah, in this case, he does get the kill on the Skywrath Mage, but their general progression in the mid lane is completely stifled. I mean, the Master Rewards, not every day you get to see a Tier 1 defended at this early on in the game with it committed heavily. But yeah, they get to take care of that, and now they build up the mechanism on XZ. As long as he's got the mana to support it, he's going to be able to really just reinfuse their team fights, give them extra HP sustainability, and make more plays.
And now the familiars are on the split push again. Their top lane currently don't have the Precision Aura, but that'll cool down in 35 seconds. And you can just see, like, slowly, every time Precision Aura comes off cooldown, it's pretty much a guaranteed tower dropping at least a third of its health, if not more, depending on how quick the rotation comes. So eventually these towers are going down. It's almost inevitable, no matter how far ahead you are with this lineup, as long as Drow's not constantly dead, that you will lose your towers. So they've got to get trades. But they've only got the Tier 1 top to their name, and you can already see these familiars just looking for the backstab. Precision Aura, especially the Tier 1s. Those are the ones that are extremely vulnerable to this sort of guerrilla warfare. As they're, for now, going for a hero kill instead. And this is a big one to bring down. Xiaolu, Blink Clap. They can throw out the Mystic Flare. They'll do so, and with the follow-up damage from the Familiars and Soul Assumption, LAI Gaming quickly secure a kill on really the most important hero for Tongfu right now. Later on, it may be the Ember, but U9 is very far off from being that main damage dealer for his squad.
Definitely. I mean, he still buys up some items. He doesn't lose too much in terms of gold, but it's still a great kill to take off the table, get some good golden experience going your way. Yunnan will eat a shackle, but not really any way to follow that up. But just even a couple of right clicks here. With the precision aura, phase boots, and null talisman, you can see that like 2 auto attacks. Each one is like 8% of Unan's HP, which is not that bad, especially when we look into later on when maybe the Drow picks up the ultimate.
Yeah, has focus fire, but not sure how much we'll see it getting used at this stage. They find XDD in the woods, but he just TP's out. And there's really not much the Tongfu can do to stop that. With the Blink Dagger out on the Drow Ranger, she's much more confident to split push these lanes out. She was sitting over here on her own, pushing in the bottom lane, and then rotated back to the woods, and just getting so much more off the map now than anyone else in the game. 122 CS for the Drow, 7,500 net worth. It's an app. It hasn't gotten a kill yet, but hey man, that's like a perfect Drow Ranger game. Just not dying and getting farm. That's all you need to do. Your team will get the kills later on.
Yeah, and that's what the Blink Dagger, of course, is about. Just moving about the map, avoiding death, and enabling you to just keep farming and stay in the right position. Because you got to keep your marksmanship active for your team. You got to make sure that nobody's close to you. So dodging out of the fights and letting your team do their work is really going to be the main contributor. We do see one familiar will go down, but in general, they're getting a lot of great damage on this tower. It's going to be going down, and it will be on their terms.
And now the tower falls as it was a clap initiation. Mark's trying to find where he was. Mystic Flare follows this up, kills off Red instantly. The splitter, though, pretty nicely placed, and it will force the rest of LAI Gaming back. Can they get a stomp? Do they even have a point in it yet? Yeah, he is level 10 finally, but unfortunately not able to find anyone with that. Ember going in again. There's the chains, but XC has a mech. It hasn't been used just yet. So they kill off the Brew before he splits, averting disaster, yet I don't know if they can push into this anyway. They'll try, but the creep wave's quickly being killed off. There's still a glyph available. Concussive shot trying to slow down LPC and discourage him from further aggression, and with this, the Brew will respawn. And with their wards being used just to kill him off, it's a nice kill on the Brew, but they're not taking objectives, whereas every time LAI Gaming wins a fight, they're taking a tower, or sometimes even more.
Yeah, they're just fighting tooth and nail for this tier 1 in the mid. They've been in the trenches here, just bunkering down, and it's been working so far. I mean, they still have the split online. Unfortunately, XTT didn't get it off inside that ward trap, inside the nuke combo, but all the same, now they have it as an option for pushing, for getting very active across the map. As well, the Visage is moving towards the Aghanim Scepter, actually has it, and that's pretty insane.
That's a wow moment for me, man. That's a really fast Ags. And it's also with a very fast level 2 ultimate on the Drow that she's had for some time, and she's closing in on the level 3 ult. At which point these familiars are just going to destroy anything in their path.
Yeah.
They already pretty much do, but yeah, it's going to get worse. And Super resummon about 90 seconds off, so he'll have to wait a little while to take full advantage of the Sags, but still, even for now, he's quite a bit more durable in the fights.
It will not be easy to bring those familiars down either. They'll be, as the Visage pursues level 11, they're going to be sitting at 450 HP. The Sleight of Fist, even with the DE rune, is still going to take 2 or 3 attempts to bring them down. And yeah, when you have a whole flock, when you have all 3 of them doing that much damage...
You can't sit there and hit them. Like, you have to run.
Exactly.
If you can one-shot them with the Sleight of Fist, that's fine, but I don't even know if with the DD rune, it's not going to be enough to one-shot them, that's for sure. And no one else can really right-click these effectively. It's concerning for Tongfu.
Yeah, they are just really the glass cannons they have to deal with, but they don't really have an answer for right now. Like, I don't know, the Necronomicon does, ranged one does piercing damage, so maybe build up one of those, but otherwise it's really the Viper to auto-attack, the Shadow Shaman to run for his life, the Enchantress to maybe get a hit in, but of course Impetus doesn't do anything for him, so...
But by the way, I also want to point out it's multiple blinks being picked up now for LAI Gaming. I think this is a really cool way to run this kind of lineup with the familiars that can pretty much be anywhere. Now you've got a Drow Ranger with a blink, a Wind Ranger with a blink, and the Brew, who isn't really as useful for the split push, but still offers you some mobility. This lineup can spread the map beautifully, and Ember in theory is a decent hero to counter this, yet just hasn't really been able to make too much happen for his team plays. He got that early kill, and since then U9's been way too quiet for his team's liking.
XC doing focus fire damage, actually still in the positive green bonus damage when it comes to his focus fire, not losing all that much, and just gonna wind run to the tower. He's just gonna go ahead and take this by himself. Like, what the hell?
No Shallow was like coming for a cheeky deny there, but couldn't get it off. Now that's bad. When the enemy Wind Ranger can just chunk down your tier 2 mid, like basically by herself. She had backup there, but no one else even hitting the tower. That's not with the triple familiars. That's not with the Drow Ranger, who hits for 200 plus and has pretty good attack speed of her own with the bonus 82 agility or 80 agility at this point. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. It is really insane. But the fact that almost completely nullifies the focus fires and the reduction of damage, so they can just do so much. 3 familiars up, tier 2 down, and they're going to be losing space very quickly. If they get one aggressive ward in the enemy jungle, it's going to be more difficult for the Ember Spirit and Enchantress to find farm. And they only have 1 outer tier tower to go, and that's going to be Roche as well. I mean, they don't have a medallion up just yet, but the physical damage is so legit they might not even need one to do it efficiently.
LAI Gaming, at this point, they've taken every outer tower except for the tier 2 bottom lane. And that one, it's only a matter of time before it goes down. And so the question becomes, how did Tongfu break out of this contain? They're getting split pushed all over the map. They have very few stuns to prevent TPs out. Soon XTT will have his Ags. The familiars just can't be killed off. Like, what is their option here, Blaze? They can't sneak Roche very effectively either. They have wards. Red's going to jump in bottom lane, but the silence was there. Mystic Player turns it around. He pays for his insolence. And Kabu will be the next easy kill. The one who manages to escape will be a 9.
And that's a tier 2 right there. Like, you can't just flub a team fight that badly. Unfortunately, they thought it was just going to be like a 2-man, 2v1 type play, but not even remotely. They go in and they just tear them apart. The familiars aren't here just yet. They're on the top lane, but XZ, we've seen what he can do with this focus fire. Is absolutely really insane. Just chunking this thing down. It's absolutely destroyed, and even LPC doesn't feel all that safe against these wandering familiars. 1 active from the Drow in 20 seconds, and that Enchantress drops insanely fast. Actually, Shallow will get a familiar. No, stuns.
And this is setting up for the rotation to come in for XC. Oh, he's in trouble now. There's a Shackle Shot to cancel his TP out, and Wind Ranger has Wind Run, so Shallow can't even hurt her. And they'll just plink him down. Easily dealt with. Yeah, this is looking pretty bleak, man. They can't break out of the contain. They have no farm on the Ember. Its Battle Fury is still probably 5 minutes off, considering that he's just hardly seeing creep waves at this point, and even once he gets the Battle Fury, that's not really enough. Super's getting close to an Assault Cuirass, for Christ's sake, on his Visage.
Yeah.
They need
like
so
stupid
much
Elliot. Who needs that? You get the ACR ultimate medallion on everyone, so that's, insane. Super just farming up like a madman, and he's going to have it extremely fast. They'll give the Aegis to the Drow as well, which will just enable that aura to stay active forever.
Red did get off his wards, but XTT is going to be able to split here. He doesn't even feel a need to clap. He knows that they can't kill him off. He'll split, and now chases forward. Shackle onto Kabu, holding him in place while the Mystic Flare does its work. And at this point, it's LPC next. The Drafter goes down. Tongfu completely out of gas, and there's your GG.
Without a tier 3 down. Like, they just know they can't do anything against it. The Ember right now is 2,700 gold, but no items beyond the Drums of Endurance. That's just, they didn't have enough. The draft was not with them, and Tongfu didn't respond to it well enough. Like, maybe a couple fights go differently in the earlier stages, that obviously this game would have been quite different, but I still think that LAI had an advantage just from passivity, and we see how incredible it works out as they build up that raw right-click damage on multiple heroes, the familiars, and do the work that they set out to do with this draft. Very well played from all sides. I really like the style here from LAI Gaming, and it puts another win on the board for them.
Yeah, and it just wasn't a great Ember game, man, was one of the big problems for me. Like, you have too much physical damage, he has low base armor, and more importantly, they had too many silences for him. The Scarlet Mage, the Drow, and he really couldn't get anything done that game. Every time he went in for a fight, he just died. And even when he got a kill, he's normally traded for.
Do you think they considered the Drow when they picked up the Ember when the Visage was on the board?
They should have. I mean, they saw the Visage pick already, so I don't know. I assume they thought about it, but
it seems like the worst here to pick up in that exact time frame. But maybe it was kind of it caught them off guard. They thought it was just a Visage to support, to do some damage, and not to get that full synergy. I don't know.
Well, with that, it's another loss for Tongfu. Now 0-5. They've got 2 more games to try and redeem themselves here at Starladder China. But guys, with that being said, we'll take a break. We come back in 35 minutes for our second match of the day. That match will be Newbie versus Hyper Glory Team. Big match for both teams. And as we can see from the standings, Newbie are sitting near the top 3-1. Hyper Glory Team, the lone undefeated team in Starladder China. Can they keep the streak alive? We'll find out after this. Stay tuned.